Hello everybody, it's Anne from Anne's Stampin' Up. Welcome to another card making day. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Simcoe, Ontario. And if you live in Ontario or anywhere in Canada for that matter, and you don't have your own demonstrator, you can shop with me. You can reach me at stampsandtea@gmail.com, or my demonstrator website is stampsandtea.stampinup.net. So welcome everybody. What we have today is we're going to use a brand new suite of products. It's called Gone Fishing. Now the Gone Fishing suite is in the annual catalogue. It's on page 78 and 79. The suite is called Let's Go Fishing, and it includes the Gone Fishing bundle, which is your stamps and dies. There's your stamps. Lots of nice stamps, retirement, Father's Day, good things. And there's the dies, all sorts of fishing lures and fish, and a die to cut out a tackle box actually. So we're not going to do the tackle box today. I think I need to practice that one first. But anyway, stamps, dies, and some beautiful designer series paper. Lovely fish, all different colours. Beautiful patterns, nice colors, lovely set. The suite itself is $99, which is a great price for stamps, dies and DSP. It's got some nice samples of cards on the page itself there. So this is the card I made this morning. The color is, what's it called? It's a new one. It's called Pebbled Path. That's the color of the cardstock behind. And Pebbled Path is one of the colors used in the whole suite, the Gone Fishing suite. Another nice color is Misty Moonlight, which is what we are going to use now. This card, it uses DSP and some die cutouts from the die set. And it also used the Happy Retirement and the Good Things Come to Those Who Wait stamps from the set. So I made this card and I thought, well, it's kind of plain looking. I wonder what I could do to brighten it up a little bit, make it look a little different. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to try and brighten it up and make it a little different. We're going to use Misty Moonlight cardstock. We've got 8.5 by 5.5. scored at 2 1/8 and 6 3/8, and that gives us a nice card that folds and closes in the center. We've got some DSP, we've got an extra piece of card, we've got some pieces for the front of the card. Let me see which way they go. I think they go that way because you want them to match on the front of your card, the two halves like that. Okay, and then we've got a little twist at the end for the DSP. Sometimes when you're making a retirement card, you need a little bit more room inside so that lots of people can sign it. So that's what we are going to do today. So let's start off by doing, what do we want to do? Let's start off by doing the stamping, I think. Okay, we've got some Very Vanilla to stamp on, because the DSP itself is not white in the background. It's off-white or Very Vanilla, and that's what we are going to use because it matches nicely. Let me bring in my Stampin' Mat, because these are photopolymer stamps, which means they don't have the foam on the back, so they have nothing to give them any give. So we put them on we stamp on a foam mat here, and that gives them a little bit extra. You can press down a little harder on them, and it works really well. I've got a piece of DSP here to stamp on. Now I need to make sure this is pointing the right way up. This DSP is actually, what would it be? Like a depth chart, I believe. It seems to have a lot of numbers and markings and things on. But it's got an arrow pointing to the north, which is very hard to see on this paper. It's sort of got a compass there. I want to make sure the arrow is pointing to the north. So I'm going to put that down here, and I'm going to stamp that first with Happy Retirement, and I'm going to use Misty Moonlight to stamp that. And we're just going to stamp it right here in the center. Oh, that looks nice on there. Okay, so we've got that. We'll pop that out of the way for just a minute. We need a sentiment for the front, which says, "Good things come to those who wait." Give that a nice ink up. And we're going to stamp it right in the center of this piece of card, because I think I want to try and do a fancy edging around it. Not fancy, but just, you know, shape the corners is what I want to do. So that's that. My scrap here. Well, let's use this scrap because we don't need it too big. We're going to stamp, what is this? I call this a bobber. Okay, it's a fishing bobber, and that's what we're going to stamp next. Maybe we'll stamp two of those because they're kind of nice. There. Now this stamp, because it has such a lot going down at the bottom, it's also got a little half moon. A bobber's always a different colour on the bottom to attract the fish. So we're going to stamp that in Calypso Coral. And I just need to pull this towards me because I need to get my head right over the stamp, so that over the stamped part already, so that I can line this up as best I can. So just, if my head gets in the way, I do apologise. Put that on there. There's one. There's two. And I've stamped two so I can pick out the best one. If one looks any better than the other, I can use that one on my card, or I can actually use them both if I choose. What else do we need? We're not going to stamp out a fish. I've already stamped this fish, and he's kind of plain, and it means I would have to colour him. But one of the dies will actually fit. Where's my dies? Here they are. One of the dies actually fits over one of the fish on the paper. So that's what we're going to cut out. We're going to cut out a fish. We're not going to stamp a fish. Okay, so let's put that there. We'll put the stamps out of the way. I've got a mess on the table here, but that's all right. So this fish here, this big one, he will line up nicely over this paper. This is the same paper we're using on the front of the card. He lines up nicely over that fish there, which just happens to be Misty Moonlight, the same as I've got here. Now that whole piece of paper won't go through my cut and emboss machine, so I'm going to cut a piece of this DSP. I've got one fish here that I could use, or one there. I might use this one because it's easier to get to, I think. So let me just, I think we'll just cut over that fish there. And you know, don't throw away these pieces that we've sort of cut a piece out of. You know, this fish here, he's got no tail, but that's okay because you could set him like right over to the edge of your card like that, and he looks like he's coming into the picture. So don't throw away pieces like that. That looks pretty good, I think. Piece of tape on his tail. Piece of tape on his nose. There. So you see, now I can pick that up and the die's not moving. So that can go on there like that, or like that. The other die we're going to use is for the bobber there, and that's this one here. Now we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to tape this die down, make sure I put it the right way, the blade, the cutting part down. I think I might have to cut this in half. keep that for, we might use that, we don't know. Okay, same thing again, I'm putting the die over the part I've stamped. Oh, do I have a piece of tape? Yes, I do. Tape that right down so it doesn't move. And we'll put that on there. Now we're going to bring in the mini cut and emboss machine. Remove my mat. And we're using the little plates. We use the number 1 and we use a number 2 to put the parts on that we want to cut out, and then we have another number 2 goes on top, but you stagger them so that you can almost so that you can see all the numbers. They're just staggered, which means the cuts, the rollers can roll up and over them. Let's have a look. Let's see what we're going to cut out on the first pass. Trying not to shake the table here. There. Let's see what we've got. Well, that's lovely. So there's a nice bobber. And there's a nice fish. All cut out, coloured, ready for you. So now what we've got is we have a basic card. As I said, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 2 1/8 and 6 3/8. That gives me a standard 5.5 by 4 1/4 card. Okay. Now I've got 2 pieces of DSP here, which I cut. They are 2 inches by 5 1/4, I think. Okay. Now I want to keep them like this so that when I put them down on the front of the card, the pattern flows across the card. If you put them like this, you've got no flow, you don't know what you're looking at. But if you keep them in the right order, the fish sort of swim across the card both ways. Okay, so just like that, there's the tail of this fish, and that's one, and there, so they go like that. So I'm going to put that one over to that side, this one over to this side, and keep them in order. And I've got some Stampin' Seal here, Stampin' Seal Plus, and my little brown adhesive mat here, there. Just make sure again before I stick it down that I've got them going the right way, and I do. Just got a very narrow border around here. Now I'll take the second piece and do the same again. Making sure all my fish sit up the right way, or the same way. I'll open that up because I can't really see it. There, so that when you close your card, there's all your patterns, your fish are still all going, you know, the way they should go. Alright, so now we've got to think about the front. We've got, or we had, up here, I'm going to put a belly band on this card. Now a belly band is just something to hold the card closed. Alright, you see these doors, I'm calling them doors, these two sides, they don't lie flat, so if you put a belly band around it, just helps to keep it closed, and it looks nice. And all the belly band is a 1-inch strip of cardstock, but I've cut it 1 by 11 so that it can so that it will wrap right around the card. Alright, I'm going to put it like that, and I'm going to fold it to the front, because when I put my sentiment on the front, I don't want I don't want you to be able to see where the two ends of this are joined. Alright, so I'm just going to move that over, and I'm just eyeballing this. There's no right or no wrong, but it's nice if you can keep this edge straight, if it's level, your piece is level, because when you come to fold the other side over, you want them to match, to meet nicely, and that worked well. Okay, now you don't want these too tight because it has to be able to slide on and off your card. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I think they're going to slide nicely, and to glue them together, I want to make sure that when I put my sentiment on the front, this piece is hidden. So I'm actually going to just trim about a ½ inch off that, just to make sure it's hidden. There. Okay, that will definitely be under my sentiment now. Okay, now the trick to this is, when you open this up like that, put your adhesive here and here. Okay, so that, like that. Oops, let's try this way. There, and then here and here. Oops, let's get it to the end, so that when you put this over, you've got your edges are sealed. There. Now let's just, that slides off nicely, and you do have to bend your card a little bit to get it back on. There. So that slid nicely off and back on. Now we need a piece, we're going to put this, we're going to mount this white cream piece, very vanilla, onto a piece of blue, but we're going to trim it down first of all. So let's look at this piece and see how big we want this piece. And I want to try and use this punch, which is called a Very Best Trio, and it just has a fancy corner punch on there. So we're going to try and use that. So let me trim this very vanilla piece down. Now I've got to be careful because I don't know, you know, how much I need for the corner. So I'm going to look at where I've lined my letters up in my cutter and make the border the same all the way around. So my letters are just at the edge of this line here on my cutter. There's no right or wrong. You just pick a spot and use that spot every time you cut around the stamps, the stamped image. There. So we've got quite a bit there. Now that may or may not be too much. I don't know. Let me have a look. My letters are on the edge of my channel there. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this around, put this in here, line up my letters again to the same spot. Okay, in my channel there. So you can see I've got the same distance here and here. Alright, it actually looks a little wider there, so I'm going to just trim just a sliver off there. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, now we're going to put it in top and bottom just the same. See where my letters are, right about, I think, there. Whoops. 3, and we'll do the same with this. There. So I've trimmed all 4 sides lining up my letters with the same point on my trimmer, what would you call it, guide, trimmer guide. Okay, so let's have a look. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this punch and we're going to use this, the fancy corner. If we don't like it, we can just punch a new sentiment and do something different. Okay, so it has to go in so that it's quite square. It's a corner punch. There, that worked nice. Let me think. Put that one in the same way. Right, so we've got two punches that way. And then what do I want to do? I think this is where I have to turn this over. You see? Yes, I got to turn it over. Yep, I got that right. Turn it over, turn this around. And the reason you have to turn it over is so that you get the rounded edge there, then the square, then the indented part. So that looks quite nice there. So what we're going to do is take this and mount it on a piece of the Misty Moonlight. So we're just going to line it up and make sure that the border on this side is the same as the border there. So we're going to stick it down. Making sure we've got no adhesive showing. Nice flat edges. And I'm going to give it like about 1/4 inch on the bottom and 1/4 inch on the right hand side. And the reason I'm doing that is because that gives me 2 straight edges to work with. Okay, so then we're going to trim this off, so it will be about 1/4 inch past the edge of here. So I'm going to close my cutter. That's about my line. That was a little shorter than that, but that's okay. We'll deal with that in a minute. We'll line them all up again. All my edges. There's 2. Need this one trimmed just a hair. So we have this piece. The top and bottom, I don't think I'm going to trim too much. I'm just going to take a hair off at the top, like that. And then we're going to punch this out just the same as we did the very vanilla. So we're going in that way. Is that right? We want to make sure that the curved part is the same here. So we're going in there. Yeah, and you see it just puts the same border around. And that one in that way. And then this one goes in this way, there. So now we've got, see, the same shape going all the way around, and we've got it on 2 pieces. So there it is, that's my piece, that's my sentiment for the front of the card. So let's put this card together. We've got this part here. The sentiment's going to go on the front, but we're going to put the sentiment up on dimensionals just to give it a little bit of spice. But we've got a scrap of DSP here which could go right across the middle, and I think it will, because it's nice, you know. It's it matches and it just finishes that front edge off. All right, so we're just going to cut this off. I'm just going to use my scissors. There, that's going to go there just like that. We've got some dimensionals to put this on, but the trick is to put the dimensionals, let me see what I've got here. I'm going to use the edges of my dimensionals. You never throw these away, you always keep them. And I'm going to put these on the belly band and then put the sentiment on top. So let me see, what can I've got that. And I can go to there, and that's going to give me 2 good pieces of dimensionals, which will go here and here. There. See, can I get the tops off? Yeah, oh lovely, like that. I'm going to pop this lined up in the middle nicely, just like that. Okay, So there's your basic card. Now we've got a piece to put, we're going to decorate this with the fish we cut out and the bobber, and we're just going to pop them, you know, just anywhere. It doesn't matter where they're going to sit. We're just going to sort of glue them on a little bit. Yep, and I'm going to use liquid adhesive. Make sure that's clean. Liquid adhesive. There. There, and then we'll glue a little fish on. Just a little squirt of liquid adhesive there. Pop him on the corner. Make sure I've got no adhesive on my fingers, and just hold these for a minute or two, just till they get a grip behind them. We'll just set that down for a minute to dry by itself so they don't move. The card, we're back to the card. Now we stamped Happy Retirement on a piece of this paper that goes to the inside of the card. Now, as I said, when you have a retirement card, like if it's for somebody at work, you often want a lot of people to be able to sign it. So all I did here is I cut 12 inches by 5 1/4, a 12-inch piece off the card, because all your DSP is 12 inches. So I cut the 12 inches off, scored it 4 inches and 8 inches, and folded it into a Z fold like that. I'm gonna put this piece down on the inside of the card like this. We could actually stamp Happy Retirement here again and Happy Retirement on the inside, which I think we might do just because it will pull it all together. Let's have a look and see if we can line this up anywhere close. We're going to use Misty Moonlight again and Happy Retirement. There. I'll line this up on the bottom of the mat. Look at this. There's one. There, so that just pulls all the pages together. And it means when you open the card you see Happy Retirement, and you can go like that as well. Gives lots of room for lots of people to sign. And we're going to take this and we're going to fold it closed so we've got it right and going the right way up. And we're going to put some adhesive on here. Whoops, wrong mat. Give me this one. And I want to really glue this down well because I don't want this to fall out. Say, piece across the center. And I'm going to hold it closed. Check which way my card goes. There. So then that opens out. This closes. And my band goes back on, my belly band. There, and there you've got, you know, the same card made twice. One is quite plain, which is great for some guys, you know, still gets the sentiment across, good things come to those who wait. This one is a little more colourful. Because and really the only reason it's more colourful is because of the DSP. So there it is, that's today's card, my own design. If you want to copy and share it, please do so. Just say where you saw the card made, and if you sell your cards, please make sure you use the Stampin' Up Angel stamp, which just says all the supplies used were Stampin' Up supplies. Thanks for watching everybody. Bye.